Welcome back to the class, everyone. We have a new set of Lightspeed bundles coming to Galaxy of Heroes, and as always, we want to make a video talking about their each individual value. And while I typically thought I was making these videos for people who were trying to decide which ones to buy, I now realize that I'm pretty sure CG is also watching these videos. So for those of you who have not seen one of our value estimation videos about Lightspeed bundles, I just want to break this down really quickly for you. For any of you that have seen any of our previous videos, the math we're coming up with is the exact same strategy. So basically what I do is I take a look at the Lightspeed bundle, for example, Shadows of the Empire 2, and I look at all the characters that are contained there, and I count up all the Kyrotech it would take you if you didn't have any of them leveled up at all, which would, for example, would be 1400 in the Shadows of the Empire one. And then I calculate what it would cost you if you were to buy each and every single one of those Kyrotechs through shipments at 28 crystals a piece, which is how much they cost. Then I assume you're also buying crystal vaults to be able to pay for them, and we get an actual dollar value of $250. I then do a very similar calculation using just signal data and come up with another $250, meaning that we are estimating that the Shadows of the Empire bundle, despite being purchased for $30 for the actual bundle, it's technically worth $500 if you were to buy Kyrotech and signal data straight out of shipments. The reason why we use this criteria is because those are the two most common bottlenecks for most people. It doesn't take into account everything, including shards as well as Gear 12 pieces, so just use this as a rough estimate and comparing the packs against each other, maybe not the exact value that it may be for you. But with that being said, let's get into the actual evaluation of what these packs are going to be giving you. And the one I want to talk about first is the most unique one in the sense that it's not an upgrade of any of the packs that we've gotten before, and that is going to be Leia's Lightspeed bundle. And the first thing that I want to mention is it's a little bit awkward, but at the same time not. This is a Lightspeed bundle intended to help you unlock a Galactic Legend. Yet it only is actually giving you 6 characters. And what CG is trying to do here is they're trying not to run a ton of overlap with a lot of the packs that currently exist or ones they've released upgrades for. And it is still fairly decent because it contains Drogon, Krex, as well as 3PO and Chewbacca, all of which are Kyrotech characters. Drogon is probably a character that most people haven't worked on if they haven't gone after Leia in general, different from, say, Krex or Nubako, as I call him, because they're a part of Phoenix as well as CLS, respectively. So overall, the pack is going for about $30, and when we look at what actually comes in it, it seems to be a decent deal, which is funny. You heard me say in the intro that I think CG's watching these videos. Every single one of these like new packs that doesn't have to do with one of the Conquest characters pretty much had the exact same measured value using the metric that I'm using. But anyways, so Leia, again, there's a lot of Kyrotechs despite there only actually being 6 characters in there. As well, there is a lot of signal data that is used because we are having to level up characters all the way up to Relic 7. Now, I don't love this too much, and we'll get to this more in the other packs as well, because there's an overestimation in value here, because you don't need Lobot or, say, Admiral Akbar all the way up at Relic 7. While some of the other characters here are actually required there, or they're just nice to have, like Chewpio, it does leave a little bit of overkill. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because a lot of the value when it comes to signal data comes in at those really high relic levels like Relic 7. So while I'm telling you it's 16 times better than shipments, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. That'll be more relevant for some of the other packs we're going to talk about. The other thing that I want to talk about, and I have in our considerations area over here, is this is quite the incomplete package when going after Leia. You should not, when purchasing this Lightspeed bundle, just assume that it will get you to Leia or even close. There are enough other Lightspeed bundles right now that you can purchase to be able to fully meet the requirements. In fact, if we look around in some of these, we'll immediately see what I'm getting at. The R2-D2 pack, which has a bunch of characters you don't necessarily need for R2-D2, but it includes Scout Trooper. Scout Trooper is needed for Leia and also not included in this pack. The same can be said about 3PO that now includes Nisa, which it did not before, which would be needed for Leia. Shadows of the Empire, there's probably crossover here too. I probably crossover with multiple characters. In fact, I'm not even showing it on screen right now, but there's also like a Hoth Lightspeed bundle with Rolo, as well as Captain Han, which would actually meet the Captain Han requirement of Leia. All I'm getting at is, if you're going from a scratch perspective of going after Leia, you're going to need a lot more than just this pack, and it might get very expensive very fast. That's not a reason not to buy it. It's just an overall thing that you should be aware of when you go to do it. Either be aware that you're going to have to grind up the rest of the characters, or you're going to have to get the rest of the packs, or if you already have them grinded out, then this would be a really great addition. So overall, the pack is good as far as overall Lightspeed bundles go, but not truly amazing because it doesn't get you all the way there. In fact, it has quite a few different gaps. Now, the next one we want to be talking about is the Shadows of the Empire 2. And this one I actually like quite a bit. One of the issues that we've been running into with these upgraded packs, for example, Shadows of the Empire Lightspeed Bundle 1 compared to the second one, is they're upgrading relic levels to the point where you're not really getting a lot out of them. We actually even talked about this with Leia a little bit already, in the sense that you really don't need a Relic 7 Lobot. Well, the original Shadows of the Empire Lightspeed Bundle had everyone at Relic 3, which is really a very baseline when it comes to overall relic levels. Relic 5, while it would be more expensive, is also still very useful. One of the things that will happen is that CG likes to revive dead and or bad characters with Datacrons. For the level 9 on the Datacron, you do need a character to be all the way at Relic 5. So while, nobody needs a Relic 5 Farm Boy Luke, that is the bare minimum threshold. If he ever does get a Datacron, that would be very nice. In addition to that, it's just, again, nice to have a lot of these characters at that level, and even if Leia specifically doesn't require them at Relic 5, another Galactic Legend that has overlap also might, or they might just go really well on the team. Like old Ben, for example, goes really well on the Leia team. So this ends up retaining a lot of the value from the original Shadows of the Empire. I believe they also added in Stormtrooper Han for anyone who was curious, so that's kind of a nice bonus. They did that on all these, by the way. Every single one of these upgraded version 2 packs, they have more characters than they used to, although it's typically just one. Moving on now to the 3PO bundle. I like this one the least. In fact, I don't really like it at all. It's also at the $30 point, and we can see that it is going to be using a lot of Kyrotech because not only does it include several characters, but it also includes Nisa, who's very Kyrotech heavy. My problem with it is it's just way too much overkill and on multiple regards. Number one, while I believe Chief Chirpa and Wicket are required for Galactic Legend Leia, you don't need them at Relic 7, like not at all. Relic 3 is fine. In addition to that, you're only making one Ewok team ever, even in 3v3. You probably shouldn't be making 2 Ewok teams. I mean, maybe some of you should, but most of you shouldn't be making 2 Ewok teams in 3v3. And yeah, so regardless of whether you think Logray or Ewok Elder or Tebow, whoever's the best fit for the Ewok, it really doesn't matter which one you think because you're going to have to end up with 2 of them doing pretty much nothing. And while it might be nice to have them all at Relic 7 for, say, Galactic Challenges, you don't need it. I think I've been able to beat every single Ewok Galactic Challenge, and I never got this. I obviously never got this Lightspeed bundle, but I also never got the original one. In fact, I think I still use like a Gear 12. He might be Relic 1. A Relic 1 Logray right now, and Relic 3 on Chief Chirpa and Wicket. It's enough to get by. So all that to say is, you're getting a lot of stuff that you don't need. In fact, the majority of the things that are in this pack, you don't need for the respective events. You definitely don't need it for 3PO. Nisa being Relic 7 is probably the most valuable thing here for Leia, so I guess that might be worth considering if you're really trying to rush through her. Next up, we want to look at the R2-D2 pack, and this one I actually like quite a bit. A lot of these characters being at higher relics really doesn't hurt you that much. Moff Gideon and Scout Trooper's required at Relic 7, so that, again, helps very nicely. But Moff Gideon, while he's not an attacker or a tank, he's more of a support character. He's literally a support character. You still don't want him to die, and he has a lot of homes on various different Empire teams, so the fact that him being wasted resources is very, very low. Dark Trooper, Death Trooper, and Range Trooper are all attackers who really do like the extra oomph, so while they might not be specifically required for something, having them at Relic 7 isn't exactly wasted. Short Trooper doesn't really have a great home, but still a kind of general plug-and-play tank, so not awful. So overall, when it comes to these 4 new packs, the Leia one, I think, is good, decent-ish. You just have to be aware of what else you're getting into. Shadows with the Empire and R2-D2 are probably the better packs overall, you know, kind of everything else aside. The 3PO one I would probably try to avoid like the plague, despite the fact that these are essentially all coming out at the same value. Now, I will mention them just because they are also live at this time, but we've kind of already gone over them before, and that is Ben Solo and Malgus. We haven't gone over them specifically, but we've gone over Conquest characters. The real value in Ben Solo and Malgus has nothing to do with the 400 Kyrotech or the 2,000 crystals worth of signal data that you need. It all comes down to the fact that their shards are a pain in the butt to get through Proving Grounds. If you were to actually break down the amount of crystals you have to spend on refreshes to be able to max them out as soon as possible, it would be like $231 worth of refreshes, which really isn't all that accurate because you can only do 2 at a time. So yeah, if you want the character and you're willing to drop $40, it's not great value. In fact, it's worse value than every pack that we've looked at so far. But the annoyance factor of having to go through Proving Grounds is pretty high. And I mean, Ray really likes Ben Solo, and Malgus, especially, this is going to be very few people. But if you're in one of those rare situations where you were able to get Fury really easily, but you weren't able to get Malgus, and now you're held back in Leviathan, if you spend money, Malgus is probably a really, really, really good idea. So just take that into consideration. The Hoth LSB, we've looked at this before. My biggest problem with it is that it has IPD, which is a pretty meh character right now. Wampa is fantastic, and the other 2 are requirements, so it's kind of okay. I just don't like 1/4 of the pack just not being necessary at all. Wat Tambor, shards aren't as bad as Conquest characters, but are still kind of up there, so I'm still putting it at a pretty low value, only 4 times better. It's actually one of the worst, as far as overall value, not including the value of the character, but the resources it takes to level the character, it's actually one of the worst Lightspeed bundles that we've had to date. Again, it's going to be in a similar situation to that of the Leviathan. He is a JMK requirement, so if it's like the last bottleneck you're on and you don't want to spend the currency to get there, it's fine. I'm not going to tell you it's necessarily a bad pack to get. And then I believe the Grievous and Malevolence one is also live. It's a little bit hard for me to tell. I'm going off the data mine in that regard. And I actually quite like this one. In fact, the 12 times better here is really pretty accurate, but you have to bend over backwards to kind of get there. And by that, I mean, Malevolence, you have to remember that for every single get to that you're spending on Malevolence to unlock it, assuming you have to unlock it, which is a big part of the pack, then you would be using that for Kyrotech, and that amount of Kyrotech, it's like, what, 1,400? Yeah, it's 1,370 because Grievous himself takes up 100 Kyrotech. So overall, Grievous can be good, especially if you're really low on Malevolence. Wat Tambor really only if you need JMK, and I just don't love the Hoth one. All those characters are pretty accessible via other means, and the pack overall just isn't doing all that much for you. So that is going to be our evaluation of the new packs. Let me know what you guys think and which one you are going to be getting in the comments. Hopefully we can work on some videos about how to use these characters. But until the next time, thank you for watching, and stay awesome.